How's everybody doing today? I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Um, just to give you a little bit of background about me, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama. I've been in the real estate business since 2018 and got my license that year. There's a whole story attached to that. And if you want to learn about that story, it'll be in the Real Producers magazine for Birmingham next month. So you can find that later on. I'll send it out to you guys. But systems have been my passion ever since I kind of got into the business because I found myself really stepping into success pretty quickly in the business. And because of that, I had to jump in really fast and make a lot of changes so that I could keep up with the pace, right? I mean, you go from having 1 or 2 files and you can handle everything to suddenly having 10 or 15 files and not knowing how to function, right? Especially now that we're walking into the summer and spring markets. I'm sure you guys are gearing up for that as well, right? So anyway, systems are a huge part of what I do. Like Shelby said, I do want this to be interactive today. So if you have questions, just do me a favor and throw that little hand thing up on your screen to where I know to call on you real quick. Or if you have a comment to make, please, feel free to jump in. Let's be interactive and have fun together. I don't want it to be a talking head because I know that is so boring to be on a Zoom call for an hour and all you do is listen to the same guy talk the whole time. So anyway, does that sound good to you guys? Sound fair? Awesome. Well, let's get started. Okay, so how do you know that? Can you see my screen okay? Is it popping up the full thing? Okay.
Yes,
how do you know? What's that?
You're good.
Perfect. So how do you know that you need a system? And the best way I know how to describe it is that I basically couldn't sleep at night and I'm always thinking about the stuff that I forgot, right? All the time, because you have so many things that you're juggling and you have so many things that are happening all the time as an agent and you're constantly popping to the next thing, right? And so that's kind of how I realized, oh my gosh, I need a system. And if I could just give anybody advice right from the top, if you don't have systems in place right now, start with paper. I know that sounds crazy, but start with paper, have a file system that works for you. Sorry, it just put me on did you mean to do that? Did I do that?
I did it. And if you don't like it, we can take it off.
No, put it back. I'm sorry. That was on me. I didn't know it. I thought I did it on accident. Okay. Sorry. We're going back. Here we go. So anyway, if you don't have a system in place right now, go back to paper. I mean, paper, it helps you so much just getting started. In fact, the way that we started with our systems for our team, and I didn't give the background on what we did last year. We did 48 units last year. So we have a systematic approach in order to accomplish 48 units effectively in our market, right? And so anyway, if you don't have that, go back to paper. What I started doing was for every file that I had, I would write down on a sticky note the next task that needed to be done. And I would stick it on the front of that folder. And every time I finished the task, I would take it off the top of that folder and I would stick it behind everything inside. And then I would go back at the end of the month or the end of the week, whenever it was, ready to be kind of audited. And I would itemize all those things on the list that I'm going to show you here in a minute. But it helped me keep track of all the little tasks that I forgot about, or the little tasks that I would do this day, but it may not be applicable to every file or every situation. So that was a good starting point for us. But to really set up systems for success, what is a system, right? So I kind of took it back and went, what is the definition of a system? And here it is, a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done, an organized framework or method, right? And so when we think about that, we think about life before systems, right? And before systems, you're doing the same things over and over again, but maybe in a different order, right? There's no orderly approach to what you're doing, and it's not quite systematic. You create and recreate the same emails or text messages or materials, right? All the time. Every time you send that, hey, I would love for you to leave a review email, right? You're typing it all up and going to find the link again and reattaching it and all the stuff, right? Over and over and over again. And you forget the items of importance a lot of times. And so once you have your systems in place, the beauty of all this is that once you have it done, you're going to have your templates in place. You're going to have your checklist in place. Everything's going to be done in the same order over and over again. You're going to remember all the steps. You're going to look good. Let me tell you what, people are going to like you and you're going to make more money because you can actually accomplish more once you have those things put into place, right? And that's why you're here today. Am I right? Because we want to do these things and do it at a high level. So this is one thing that that Gary said. He said, success demands a singleness of purpose. You need to be doing fewer things for more effect instead of doing more things with side effects. And it is those who concentrate on but one thing at a time who advance in this world, right? You've all read The One Thing, maybe. And one of the other things that Gary says all the time is success is simple. It's not easy, right? But it can be hard, but it doesn't have to be chaotic. And that's where having your systems in place is really going to help you. In fact, the editor for the Harvard Business Review, his name is Theodore Levitt. He said it this way. He said, ideas are useless unless used. So we all have a system, right? That we've said, oh, I've got this system, or I've got this idea, or I've got this thing, right? And we've never put it to a checklist and a template before. And so it's constantly just this idea that we have lingering in our head that we never do anything with. And just like he said here, it's useless unless it's actually used. So the proof of their value is in their implementation. Until then, you're just in limbo. So anyway, well, let's talk about what we're going to get into today and kind of our 4 steps of how we're going to outline our systems. The first one is going to be just identifying the task and your desired outcome. It really sounds simple, doesn't it? And it is. We just don't operate this way all the time. The second thing is outlining the steps to achieve the desired outcome. And I'll show you how we do that and the tool that you can use for that. The third one is creating and organizing your resources. And the last one is implementing the system and actually regularly auditing it. I think that's a big step that we miss all the time. So we'll get into all this together today. But first, let's identify the task and the desired outcome. And when we're doing this, I want you to think about all the things, the common areas of your business. What processes do you repeat? What conversations do you repeat? I mean, even scripting. Scripting is actually a system. You can put all of your scripts, all your conversations, all the answers to your questions in a script. So guess what? When you hire that perfect admin and that fantastic admin like I have, she's on this call somewhere. I don't know where you're at, Kirsten. But when you have a great admin, they know how to have those conversations and they know how to do that because you have already set the framework for them, right? Same thing with emails and templates around that, your text messages, different updates throughout a transaction, or just basic information that people need, right? Everything, all this stuff is repeated over and over and over again. So what I want us to do is take these things in our business, okay, whether it's process, conversation, email, all the things, right? And in order to do blank effectively, I need this to happen, or I need this information to get to these people. Does that make sense? So that's as simple as it is to identify and set your goal. In order to have a better transaction experience for my clients, I need a transaction management system in place with templates. It's that simple. So whatever your goal is, outline that out in your head real quick. And then we're going to move on into step 2. Here we go, which is outlining the steps to achieve the desired outcome. And the first question you've got to ask every time is, what do you need? Like, what do you need? As an agent, what do you need? And maybe your role is not an agent. Maybe you're a director of operations. So maybe you need a cleaner flow of how the information gets to you as the director of operations, right? Maybe you're the transaction coordinator and all you do is transactions. You're not handling all the other things. Or maybe you're a listing manager. I don't know. Or maybe you're a single agent like I was and just needed to really understand what I needed as an agent. And I needed to be able to turn the phone off when I got home at night and not worry about all the stuff that didn't get done. That was huge for me. And then I had to start thinking about, what do they need? And they is a lot of people, right? It's your title, it's your mortgage, it's your closing office, it's your client. If you're a director of operations or a transaction coordinator, it could be your agent, it could be the photographer, it could be the videographer, it could be your website guy, whoever it is, right? And just understanding what everybody needs in the transaction. And I want to show you this tool that I've used for a long, well, it's fighting me. Hold on. Whoops. Boom. Go to this one. Well, I'll show you this one first. So we actually, oh, you can't see it, can you? Can you see this? You see the spreadsheet? Okay.
Yes,
perfect.
you're good.
It's on my other screen here, so I'm going to look this way. But when you look at all the things that you do, we broke it down from the chase to the appointment to once we have the listing and once it's signed, what happens at pre-list. And you'll notice that in the green, we had it set out for the transaction coordinator, and in the yellow, we had it set out for the agent. So it's outlining all the people, right? And I'm going to give you this, by the way. I'm going to give you this spreadsheet so you don't have to take screenshots and all this stuff. I just want you to see it for a second. But this is what we did. And then when we go back to our key functions of scheduling and communication and our processes, right? And then the last thing is what resources are needed. We linked all those things in the spreadsheet. So you're going to get this today as a resource for you to actually go and build your own system. So when I talk about, when I go take a listing, what's the first thing I need to do? Well, I need to process paperwork, right? And it's literally this simple. It's kind of mind blowing how simple it is, right? We overcomplicate systems in our heads so much. And if we just do them one by one, or most of you guys are KW agents. And so upload to command, right? We have to do that every time. And then we were able to go backwards and organize. Well, maybe we want to upload to command first, right? You're able to organize all those tasks one by one and in the order that's most effective and helpful. So is that a good tool for you guys? Is that going to help you as far as you think about these things? It was huge for us. I got this from a guy, Michael Hyde up in, where's he at? Montana? Up there somewhere. Anyway, he's great. And he actually gave me this as a resource years ago. And I've built all of our systems around this thing and our classes. And it's just a really great resource. And then you'll see here, you've got a training guide column where you can link all your resources, your email library. Maybe you have a video training for each task, which we had a lot of those here. So you can see where the links are and where the templates are and where we can go and grab those things that are already built out. It makes your life super, super, super easy. So you get a copy of this for you to play with and kind of build your own things into. But really outlining your steps is going to be the most important thing first, because then you're going to have a framework to work from and actually tie everything to and put in the resources that you need and connect the tools. And then once you have this built out, you can go plug it into the tools that you want to use, like a transaction management software. I think a lot of times we try to jump to the technology, or we try to jump to this cool new system, or we jump to this really neat thing that we've heard about before we actually build out the system itself. And if you guys will just take the time to take a step backwards in order to take a leap forward, right? Take a step backwards and go, okay, let me write all these things down and let me itemize each piece of the transaction and each piece of what we do and each piece of our client experience. Then no matter what system or tool that you actually use, you can plug and play all your information. So Kirsten, my assistant, can tell you, we just swapped to Lofty. We've used Follow Up Boss and Trello for the last 2 years, and we just swapped to Lofty, and we're plugging the same system into a different tool. And it's so easy now for her to go through and pop each one of those templates or emails or tasks. Does that make sense? Makes it super easy for us. So let's go on then to talking about creating and organizing those resources, okay? So when you think about, I'm going to have 4 questions here. So the first one is, in what order is it most effective, right? I showed you kind of how we would organize those things and kind of move them around on this sheet, right? So if we didn't like how this is, or this needed to be way down here, we could move it. And it's very easy. And then whenever we update the system other places, we had a checklist here of where to update it once we started using a tool. And you guys see that okay? So that'll help you a lot. And then what order is most effective? Like I said, is it what's time bound? What's urgent? What has to happen, right? When we think in things, or we think of things in order of importance, we'll complete them in order of importance if we have them on the list right. And I feel like I'm saying the simplest things in the world, but it really is this easy if you just plug and play it this way. So that's first question. Are your resources linked, right? Do you have easy access, and are you building consistency through the things that you've created, right? So you're not creating a new buyer, congratulations, you're under contract email every single time you go under contract. It's a template that you have saved to a template library. And wherever that template library is, link it to the spreadsheet that you've made. I mean, it's going to save you a ton of time, I'm telling you. The next one is, what tool are you going to use to operate? Are you going to use a CRM like Lofty, or a CMS, which is so customer relationship management or a customer management system, right? They're kind of different functions. But a CRM, you know, like a Lofty or a Follow-Up Boss or a Command that's running all your customer relationships, you know, that versus a
Hello, Melanie.
HubSpot.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Uh-oh.
I'm doing great. Will you be turning your camera on today, or would you like cameras off today?
I think I found him. Sorry about that. Oh, Joseph, I muted you by accident.
That's okay. I'm back. Let's keep going. So what tool are you going to use to operate is where we were, right? What task manager are you going to use? We used a tool called Sisu for a while. It was super expensive. It did everything we wanted to do, but it also cost me $500 a month for transaction management. That was a great tool when I was a single agent and I built everything out to work at a super high level. I found a better tool since then, and so we cut it. And so we went back to pen and paper for a little while in between, and then we swapped over to Lofty, which runs it all now for us. So, and I get everybody uses different systems, right? I'm not here to sell a system or a tool or any of that. I'm here to sell the idea of making sure that you're plugging this in to something that works at an effective and high level for you and your business. And then there at the bottom, paper files. We already talked about that. And then who's going to operate it, right? We talked about tools. The system is actually what is being operated, and the people is who run it, right? It's going to be run by a person, listen to me, a person or a tool, right? So finding those right pieces are super important as far as that goes. All right, so now once we have, I'm going to go back here for just a second. It's going to fight me again. Now that I have all of these things in place, right? I've got easy access to training for my folks. I've got recorded videos. So every time that I do something, I'd go back and do a recorded video so that it's easy. When I hire someone, I don't have to sit there for hours on end teaching them how to do each task. I can actually go ahead and just say, hey, here's a spreadsheet. Will you start going through these videos and learning how to do this stuff? And it's already there for them. Saves you and them a lot of time and pain as they get started. And it really expedites the training process, right? So that's great. And then even here, you know, like for our sign people, we would use Upside Down. Here's the link, you know, and we had a video for them to watch on how to order the sign, or a new listing timeline email. We had the timeline pre-linked to where all they had to do was copy and paste and then plug in the right information for that. So it makes it easy. Anybody can follow a system that you built like this, and you can follow it really easily too if you just print out a copy and scratch them off one by one, right? Or plug it into a tool that actually shows you check, 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 check. Okay, let's keep going. Now we're talking about just implementing it and auditing the system regularly. So the first question you've got to ask when you build these systems out is it easy? Right? Don't, somebody said, I like that. You're right. Is it easy? Are we overcomplicating it, right? You know, we don't want to overcomplicate the system. And, you know, did I put a sticker on this folder? And did I do this? And did I do that? Of course, training it first, right? Like you want to train somebody on how you prep it, but like, I don't need that on the checklist. I don't need, did I put a sticker on the folder on the checklist? I created the folder, right? You should, come on. If they don't know how to put a sticker on the folder, you probably got the wrong person. And so thinking about it that way and through that lens, right? Not to overcomplicate it. The second one, is it effective? Are you actually attaining the goal that you set out to do? Remember at the beginning, we said, you know, I need this in order to do this. You know, is it actually communicating that? Let's say transaction management. Is it communicating the next steps to your buyers and sellers effectively? Is it getting the information to all the places that it needs to go at the right time, right? Are the reminders going out? We used to have our system where it would actually send out an email, and there's a template in here somewhere for it, but we haven't implemented it with the new system yet. So we're still in the auditing phase of our new tool. And so, but we used to have an email that went out the day of photos to the buyer, the day of the inspection to the buyer or the seller, letting them know what to expect. It's like, hey, today is inspection day. This is how this works. We're not asking for things you've already seen. We're not doing new stuff. We're not replacing carpet. We're not, you know what I'm saying? All the things that we should have already identified up front, It's helping them understand, do not show up when the inspector does. Please show up the last 30 minutes. Do not bring your entire family without setting an appointment with me. You know, that kind of stuff, just to kind of set expectations. That way I didn't have to constantly do it. Now when my admin called and said, hey, your inspection is scheduled for this day at this time, let me run through some things with you. They can hit those items of importance that I've already written out and read them line for line like it's a script, right? And it makes it super easy for the buyer to understand, okay, well, I understand all these things. Hey, don't worry. I know that was a lot of information for you to take in. I'm going to shoot that over to you in an email as well as soon as we hang up. And that just creates double the client experience, right? First off, we've communicated everything super clearly over the phone. And secondly, we followed up with an email, right? It's part of our system. It's what we do. So same thing with our next steps. As soon as they go under contract, hey, I need you to turn in your earnest money. I need you to schedule a home inspection, and I need you to get an insurance quote within the next 7 days ASAP, right? And we say, we know that was a bunch of information. I'm sending you an email as soon as we hang up with all 3 things and resources for each one. Tells you exactly where to write the check. Now our systems are they're a little bigger than just that now. In fact, we have a form through, if you ever heard of Cognito forms, we fill out a Cognito form and we built it to where it would actually create the emails for us. So we take every line from the contract and plug it into Cognito, and then it fills out a lot of our email templates for us. So we're not having to plug and play every time. We just plug in all the data one time and then hit go, and everything is in there. So Kirsten, it's very easy for her to copy and paste this email and just send it, you know? So here's another question. Does it work well? And you would think, is it effective and does it work well? That would mean the same thing, right? And so I kind of did a deep dive into this because I kept asking myself, like, why did I put that in there twice? That's kind of dumb. And then I was like, oh yeah, this is why I put it in here. and the first one is it effective? Does it get the results that you want? Right? Does it get the results that you want? And then does it work well? Is it smooth and orderly? You can have results and it not be smooth, right? And you can have it smooth and orderly and not get the results that you want. So both of these questions are important to ask when you're looking at your systems and beginning to implement and audit them as we go. Little chart down here at the bottom. As far as being effective, the focus is the results and outcomes, and then the focus for working well is the functionality and performance of the actual system. Did it achieve the goal versus is it running smoothly? The long-term impact versus the short-term usability, right? Everybody's used something that worked well for a little bit, but it didn't work forever, right? And that's where the auditing comes in, where we look at auditing regularly for improvement. You know, what are the things that we need to implement and plug in here to improve our systems? So that is that's kind of the outline of how you build it. Any questions or ahas right here as we're kind of in the middle of what we're going to cover today? Not everybody at once.
We're all speechless.
I hope that's what it is.
We just can't wait to see the more. Bring it. We're hungry.
The more. There's definitely more. Give me a couple of takeaways that you've taken so far before I give you the more. How about that? What kind of went bing?
I personally have about 7 different Excel sheets or numbers through my Mac. I have different ones. So putting this into one that helps. I'm definitely a pen and paper person, but I love all my systems, but my systems need work. And
and the same way, I was going to say the same way that we talk about, use this, what's the best CRM to use, the one that you use and the one that works for your business, right? It's the same thing with your systems. If you're super techie like that, Kelly, and you're able to follow everything tech-wise, then use the tech and rock it out. But if you're like me and you kind of will forget about the tech and you need pen and paper like I do just to kind of get in a groove, then do that. Go back to whatever works for you and your business the best. So thank you, Kelly. Takesha, am I saying that right? Perfect.
Yes, you are. You actually reminded me that success is simple and not easy. And I complicate everything. And that's really because that's how my brain works. So I would take
Preach.
every system under the world and compile them down and then just completely miss the whole goal. So thank you for reminding me why we're doing this.
Absolutely. And I'll say too, I am I am just as bad, if not worse, than anybody at doing that. In fact, Kirsten's probably laughing at her desk right now. She's at the office watching, but I can imagine her laughing at me right now going, yeah, you overcomplicate the fire out of everything, because I do. That's how my brain works. I think about all the pieces at one time and try to make all the things happen, when she's like, oh my gosh, that's overcomplicating. I do not need a checkbox for put a sticker on that file. I'm that guy. I will write out, put a sticker on the file. And let me tell you where that came from: hiring VAs. I mean, like, you hire VAs and you have to be like, tie your shoe, then walk, then talk, then, like, it's really hard. So that's why our systems were outlined that way for a long time. Any other takeaways, ahas, real quick before I move on? I promise we're going to get to everything either way. Okay. We'll move on. I'm going to give you guys a bunch of freebies today. So first off, tools and resources. These are things that we use. Trello is something that says Lofty. Look at that, wrong logo and everything. We love it. Trello is the tool that we use and have used for a long time for transaction management. In fact, inside of Trello, we were able to create template checklist, and then it was really super easy to apply that to every transaction. So you could see all of our transactions move across, and we had template checklist applied. And if I have time at the end, I'll go back and pull up our old Trello account if we can still access it and show it to you, and kind of how we set it up. But we did it kind of like Command does, where you move from category to category. And we found that was the best thing that kind of worked for us. And then we had all of our templates on the first one, so you could copy from the template page, and plugged everything into that. Lofty is our new website, which you guys are going to see here in a little bit. It's really pretty, if I do say so myself. And we use that for lead generation, database management, and now transaction management. Everything is in one house. And then, of course, we have to use Command for compliance and that kind of stuff, right? But like I told you to begin with, use the system that's best for you. Don't use don't use Command just because that's what you have. If that's the best thing and that's what works for you, awesome. And we want to push Command. Don't get me wrong. We use Command. So I don't get in trouble. But also, use the one that works, and for us, Lofty works. It does different things for us, and we really like it. And for a long time, we used Follow Up Boss. That's why that Follow Up Boss logo is right here on the screen, because we used Follow Up Boss for a really long time until about a month ago. And we just found this to be a better tool. The Google Suite, holy cow, for organization, everybody gets a Google account with Keller Williams anyway. Use the fire out of that thing. I'm going to show you some hacks here in just a minute about how to use that, more effectively, and how to organize it differently as far as your systems go. And then if you like automation, look at that. Oops, ignore that. If you like automation, API Nation and Zapier are two really, really, really fantastic tools to send data from here to here. So if you're techie like that, go for it. Check it out. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you all my contact info at the very end, and I'm happy to help. I do have some freebies that I'm going to give you with like lead generation, your daily activities. Don't worry, they're not going to go away forever. A financial system, we can talk about that at the end if you have questions about that, because a lot of us set up our money the wrong way. And if you have an LLC, you really have your money set up the wrong way sometimes. So I'm going to go back to those here in a minute. But first, I want to show you, I showed you this was our listing system, okay? So like I said, you're going to get the blank template so you can fill it all out with your stuff, okay? And I'm going to leave all the phases on here and some of the little blocks like this where you know how to kind of build it for yourself and remember some of those ideas we had. And I promise, I'm not going away. I'm easy to get in touch with. I do have a system for buyers. I just saw that question. So we actually have a separate, I don't have that up, but I do have a separate spreadsheet system for buyers and a separate spreadsheet system for sellers. Okay. So that's a great question. Let's see. So you're going to get this, and it's going to have all of the stages already on here for you, so you don't have to do it again, and a blank one, so you can copy and paste it over and over again and duplicate it. So that'll be a great tool for you. Another system that we're going to give you is a production tracker. If you don't have a production tracker, it's just a great, simple tool to keep track of all your business and where it came from, right? The source, how much money you're going to make, how much your team member makes, what the commission was. You can track all your data in one place. It makes it really easy when you scroll down and say, oh, our average commission was 2.71 last year. Or we could do the same thing with list price, those sorts of things. So that's going to be a free system I give to you today. Each of those templates is for, each of those templates is for one transaction, right? Yes. So, yes, all the steps, right? And you just repeat it over and over and over again. And that's why we actually built them out into something like this. I'm going to give you a different one, but I'm going to show you this. Can we see this okay? This contract to close checklist. This was one of the very first, when I told you that I got to the point in my business where I was running 10 transactions at a time and I didn't know how to see straight. This was how I got stuff from contract to close. Like this one sheet of paper, and I would fold it in half and write all my notes on the back for me to remember, or have sticky notes on it, right? It was just very simplistic and easy to follow. I knew exactly, did I send out the next steps email? Did we get the earnest money? Did we notify all parties? We call it an engagement letter to all. We engage all of our vendors on the file, mortgage, title, insurance, closing, all the things. Was there an introduction call? Did we ask for a review? Did we get the prelim title back? Did we do command compliance? Did we do the commission request? Did we do the closing commission? Did we get the quote back from homeowners insurance? So we're not surprised 2 days before closing that it's too high, right? So I'm going to give you this too, by the way, so you don't have to take screenshots and stuff and give it to you. And then of course, for actually in the deal, right? After inspection, what are all the things that happen after that? Septic, wind infestation. We do wind infestation reports here a lot, and termite. I don't know if that's the same for every market. And surveys, of course. So all those things are there. And then the biggest thing that, and you can take a screenshot of this, and I'm not going to provide this to you because it's got links to all of our systems on it. But this page is what we built out, and we built it out in 2 columns for seller and buyer. And then we outlined each system that we needed to build. Okay. So you see at the top, it's a seller lead sheet, right? And that seller lead sheet takes me straight to the seller lead sheet that we built out. So it's easy for the whole team to access any page that they need throughout a deal or throughout their training or throughout working with us, right? So take time, as we talked about identifying, in order to blank, I need blank, right? In order to be effective, I need an outline of what systems that I need to build, right? That's your first thing. And you may already have some of these built out up here. Kirsten and I, my assistant, we argue about this all the time. She's like, oh, it's in my head. And I'm like, oh, where's the paper? Where's the outline, right? If we follow the checklist, we won't miss stuff, right? So build it out this way. Even one simple thing that we outlined this year was that when she goes to create a listing packet, she comes here and pulls the documents that we have a seller homework packet that we send that I drop off when I go. We have a listing walkthrough notes. It's literally just a blank page of paper, but it looks the same in every file, and it has all my walkthrough notes. Like this is what I'm talking about when I say it's simple. It's so simple. The things that we say that we're going to do, right? All these ideas, and we actually turn them into a piece of paper like this, and then we take them to the listing appointment and we fill it out. Our life is so much easier because of it. And every time I go on a listing appointment now, I take this thing and I fill out every room and every little piece of information that I need. So guess what? She can actually fill out the MLS without having to wait for pictures to get back or wait for this to come through or wait for a video. Everything's already there. And it'll help you too as an individual agent if you haven't made it to level 2 yet with your team and adding an admin and that sort of thing, right? So build this sheet out and take a screenshot of this if you want to, but build this sheet out for you to where you actually have an outline of what you're going to focus on, and just maybe do one a day. Maybe you do your lead gen in the morning, and then in the afternoon, your 1-hour project is to build one of these per day. In fact, I'm going to give you one that's pretty so that you can actually make edits to it and then create your own copies. If you probably haven't noticed, but on every page that I pulled up today, it has the exact same header. So that every page looks the same and I know exactly what we have when I go pull the paper. And this one is no different. And this is our marketing checklist. You're going to get a copy of this, by the way. I'm going to send you this. But you'll be able to create your checklist and outline it like we do, right? So for our marketing checklist here, we've got the address. This goes on the front of the file. We staple it, right? Each time we add a new thing, we staple it to the front so we know the next checklist we got to finish. So property address, who the agent is, if you've got more than one agent on the team, if it's not just you. Hey, but even if it is just you, make it a habit to fill it out, because once you start adding other people, like, you're going to want to know who it is and whose file it is every time. Your pre-marketing, right? The copy, meaning the description written for the listing remarks, the description or the caption written for your social post. Have you completed the staging consult before photos? Have photos been scheduled? Have photos been completed, right? Have you ordered the sign install? It's the simple things that we do all the time, right? But nobody keeps a checklist. Like, it blew my mind. After 4 years of just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, I went, oh my God, you idiot. This could have been so much easier had you just kept a list of the same stuff that you do every time. So I'm going to give this to you. And then we do our property marketing package, right? And we keep all this stuff organized in our Google Drive, which I'll show you that too. Whoops, that's my big head. Ignore that for a second. But inside of our Google Drive, we actually have a drive for our agent resources. So anything that our team could use, whether it's their expectations and goals or daily activities, lead generation, resources for listings and buyers, contract clauses and addenda, right? All of these, this is a system, right? When we talk about systems, I'm not talking about the tool you use to implement it or to run it. I'm talking about the simplicity of systems. Where do you keep things? How are they organized? How do you replicate and duplicate over and over again and scale because of it? And then we have our marketing shared drive. This is a system that we use all the time. All of our listing marketing is in here. And every time that we have a new file, I bet some of this isn't done just yet. Yeah, I know. Let me go back to another one. I know she's watching on this call going, click this one, click this one. But the in-house package for this property is all inside one place where everything is stored. So if I'm rushing in to get ready for an open house, I've already saved everything to the file as in-house resources, right? There's the flyer. There's the little stand in the living room. There's the open house sign-in sheet. You're not constantly having to run and look. And then there's a checklist that we put inside of each one. You can take a screenshot of that if you want to as well. I see Cheryl, she got that phone out quick. So, let me get it. Go on, Cheryl. But yeah, you see what I'm saying? It's this simple. It really is this simple. It's just having the outline, and then just actually using it. It's not enough to have the outline, right? That's just an idea. Using it is what matters. So today we talked about, I'm going to give you the contract to close list here. Okay. I'm going to give you took a picture of this. I'm going to give you this marketing outline so you can apply it and kind of edit it down to what you do. You don't have to do all the things that I do. Okay. We do a lot of video and digital marketing. You don't have to do all those things, but do what you do and make it consistent and make it excellent. Let's see, making sure I'm not missing anything that I had pulled up for you. We didn't talk about auditing. So what we'll do is once we've made the edits, we'll actually add in another column here. So you see here, this is when we merged into Brivity. We went into just added a column where you can check box, okay, I've already added this thing in there. So as we're auditing and we're building out the system and correcting it and implementing it into a new tool that we like better or we found a better tool, it's easy to know what's been done and where we pick up when it's time for project time again. Makes your life so easy. Is that helpful? Is this stuff helpful? Okay, I see lots of nodding heads. Good, good, good. You're going to get the blank system like we talked about. And there's one more thing. Oh, the production tracker. You'll get that too. So you can keep up with your, starting now, right? We're in April. Surely you can go back and plug in the stuff you've done year to date. That way you can start keeping up with your numbers. Good business people know their numbers, right? Okay, let's see. I'm looking through. Could you forward those files? Yes, we will. We're going to send these files out when we finish. I'm going to get them all over to Shelby, and she's going to get them to everybody. I guess let's take a break and ask questions. Any questions you may have or other ahas from this stuff. I hope this stuff is valuable for you, and I hope you can implement it to your business. Okay.
Thank you, Joseph. I don't have any questions because I'm just fresh new agent right now. I
Yeah,
need
welcome,
to,
welcome.
yeah, I need to get familiar with all the tools and commands first, and then maybe move on to something more complicated. But just want to say thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me today. Thanks for showing up and making time out of your day.
You guys.
Do you have an actual lead tracker?
A lead tracker. Yeah, so we actually I don't have a good way to show you how we're using Lofty yet because we're still actually auditing that ourselves. We've just only had it for a couple of weeks, or less than a month, but we've been cleaning up a lot of stuff over the last month. So I'm really actually my lead tracker is right here right now. So when I say use a system that works, write down the people you're talking to and follow up until you scratch them off. You know, if that's what works for you during the system or during the season that you're in, use whatever works, right? Sometimes you'll get into a tool that you think is going to work best for you. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, wow, I'm not using this like I thought I would, right? Be okay to go backwards and make it simpler, okay? It's really okay to make your life more simpler. It really, really is. So this is the lead generation, just back to that question or answer that question better. This was a model that I was given years ago by a really high producing team out of the Carolinas. And this is how they follow up with all their leads. So if they are buying in the next 30 days, you talk to them every 48 hours. And in our system, when we used Follow Up Boss, we actually were able to say last contact was more than 48 hours. We actually bumped it to 36, so it would show up the morning of on the 48th hour or the second day. And then for 30 to 90, it was every 14 days. And then for 90 to 180, it was every 3 weeks. And then for 180 plus, every month, we still talk to them. Hey, how you doing? Are we still thinking about moving in the next, 3 to 6 months? What are we thinking about? Just wanted to make sure nothing's changed. And if so, I'll leave you alone. If nothing's changed, I'll leave you alone. Go have a great day. And it just made it really easy. But we stayed on top of who we're working with, right? Maybe you get bored with lead gen like I do. So I had to create a way to make it more fun and make it more exciting. And so the way I did that was through I called it my daily checklist for lead generation because that's my last name, makes it fun. But anyway, so you see here, like at the top, for sell by owner. So maybe call 5 for sell by owners, then maybe call 5 expireds, or call the hot buyers on your website, the people who are ready to move in the next 30 days and your hot sellers, right? People who are thinking about listing their property in the next 30 days. Who is last on your website looking at properties, right? Who is on your watch list or your nurture list for those 30 to 60 and your 60 to 90 days. And then when I talk about it getting boring, this lead gen lever down here, where you see here, lead gen lever, that's what these are. So on Mondays, call open house people from the weekend, or call expireds or cancel it, or for sell by owner follow-ups, right? On Tuesdays, just spend your time calling current clients and asking for referrals from them, right? Keep it fresh and new every day. That way you're not doing the same boring thing all the time, right? Because if I called for sell by owners and expireds every morning, I would quit. I'm just telling you, like they're not always happy, especially for sell by owners. They do not want to talk to me most of the time. And so it takes a lot more work for me to get in the door with them. So if I just call them on Mondays, okay, that's one bad day. But on Tuesdays, I get to call the people that I'm already doing business with that I stinking love and that love me and that make my day every time I get on the phone with them. I made a Facebook Live this morning and said something about the popo. And I had a client text me today, oh, what's a popo? And I'm like, golly, God love him. We're going to help you and teach you what the popo is. But you know what? Like those calls are fun for me. So I got to call him and say, Gil, you are so funny. Let me tell you all about that. Or on Wednesday, call past clients Thursdays, circle prospect around your listings. And on Fridays, just call the people that you love in your sphere. You know, I'm telling you, if you start lead gen every day with just a fun call, the rest of it goes easy, right? I'm going to give you these 2 financial buckets too. You guys seen this before? How to manage your money? No. It was a really simple system that was taught to me when I first got in the business. So if you're not an LLC, the way that we set it up, and every state's a little different. So just this is for Alabama and for how we operate. So talk to your CPA. Okay. Disclaimer done. It was just a very simple system how to operate my money. And so my tax bucket, I would always put 35% before I moved to anywhere else, and throw it in that tax bucket because I wasn't an LLC. And then I would move it to biz operating. So I had a different, these are all different bank accounts, these yellow buckets. I'd move it to biz operating and have 1 month of my budget in there. And then I would work towards business savings. You know, I still had to pay myself on the personal side here, because you didn't always have enough to put in your business savings when you're getting started. But this is a very simple way just for money to flow from bucket to bucket to bucket to bucket to bucket to bucket. So I'll give you this system. If you have questions after the class, you can reach out and I'd be happy to go through it with you. And your CPA can help you too. They'll probably be able to make sense of this. Any other questions? Like I said, you're going to get those resources. Those will be great for you. What do you think is going to be most helpful for your business after today?
Actually seeing what we're now implementing, just realizing, yes, there are so many things that we do. And, you know, like I said, I have all my little spreadsheets and forms, but sometimes I get on the TikTok death scroll, or I'm like, oh, I need to do a CMA. And, you know, I just started doing equity assessments, which has possibly just landed me 2 listings for my clients. But
Yeah.
it really does. I think it's going to help bring all my systems together. I just don't want to do lead gen and make phone calls.
Who does? Well, that's why I say make it fun from the get-go, right? If you can hop
Yep.
on a fun call first with somebody that you already know and love, the rest
Yep.
of them are easier after that. Always start lead gen with somebody that you know and love already, if you can, somebody in your sphere. And tell them, gosh, I really don't want to make all these phone calls today, but I'm glad I got to start with you. I actually called you to where I'd want to get on the phone with people because I knew you'd make my day. Oh my gosh, they're going to send you everybody they know to buy and sell real estate. It would make their day. That'd make my day.
I had one person that said when they called someone, they're like, hey, look, give me 30 seconds. You have permission to hang up on me, but I'm just going to give my spiel. If you want to hang up, no big deal. Have a great day. And then they would just lay into their spiel.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'll tell them, yeah, I'm too busy for that. Thanks. All the little telemarketer people. But if it's somebody you already know, right, it makes it easier. Takesha, I saw your comment here, knowing your numbers. Seriously. Yeah, that's huge. When you know your numbers, you know kind of where you're at. You can't identify where you're going if you don't know where you are. So knowing your numbers is huge. Anybody else?
I have multiple sheets, but you know, just seeing how someone else does it, seeing what I'm missing out on and how I could combine it and just tweak it and improve everything. So we appreciate your sharing. Linda.
Absolutely. Well, and I have a lot of sheets too, and that's why you see this sheet that I've shared here is a centralized location where all the sheets are accessible very easily. So building something out, even as simple as this one document that everything starts here and everything ends here, you know, that helps out a ton, especially when you start training or building your team and adding on admins or support. Anybody else?
You said you weren't going to share this one with us and we should take a screenshot?
Yes.
The whole thing, yeah, there you go. The whole thing didn't
Anything else?
show.
Here we go.
So,
Let me do. How about that?
you have 2 screenshots.
There you go. Now you can get one.
Nice. Thank you.
Yes, my pleasure.
Okay, so this one is a Word document that has the links to your Excel documents
Yeah, Excel or Google spreadsheets. Or I'm
or
sorry,
what
that's the same thing. Good
Or
grief.
whatever.
Excel or or documents,
numbers
right?
or okay.
Yeah, it takes me everywhere. So like the marketing checklist I showed you, I can come here to marketing and click on that, and it takes me right over to the marketing checklist that we created.
Okay.
Now, we don't use these per property. You could make individual copies of these and plug them in if you wanted to do that, but we usually print these out and attach it to the document, to the folder. And of course, all these things are now into our new online system that we're learning to use better. All right, any more questions, ahas? All right. Well, if we don't, I'm going to give you this information here so you know how to connect with me. That little QR code will take you over to our link tree, that's just a picture of the link tree here. It's where you know what it looks like, to where you know you've made it to the right place. And if you scroll to the very bottom, actually don't scroll to the very bottom. I've just realized that I haven't updated that link for you, but you can go to yourbirminghamhome.com/agent. And if you want to join my agent referral network and keep up with all things Alabama, I would love to do that, and keep up with things where you guys are. And be able to build a relationship with you. I'd also just love for you to have that info so you know how to get in touch with me. If you have questions about the systems, or if you're like, hey, have you built this before? Do you have a resource for this? What tool did you use, right? And feel free to ask me about tools before you go buy one or pay for one, because I probably already used it and didn't like it, or did, and I can tell you the pros and cons of each one, of kind of what I've dipped into and played around with. So anyway, well, I hope that our time together was fruitful for you. Thank you for everybody for sticking around and taking good notes. All this stuff will come to you here in a little bit. I'll get it over to Shelby so she can email it out. And like I said, if you have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and throw I didn't put my phone number in the chat. My phone
And
number.
Joseph, if you'll go to your very last slide, I plugged
Oh,
one more in
yes.
there.
That's right.
I just want to give a quick plug for next month. So
Yes.
save the date. For May 14th, AI obviously is a very buzz hot topic right now, and Jason Flynn is using it at a high level. So he'll be with us next month, May 14th, for lots of great relevant information.
Perfect. I just pulled it up to register too.
Fantastic. And yes, we will share via email to you guys. Everyone that was registered and attended will get an email directly in your inbox to the email that you used to register for this Zoom, with the recording and then all of Joseph's goodies attached. And then the recording will also be shared out on YouTube and Novalink and all of the other places that you can find recordings.
Great.
Yes. And the freebies that were included in the actual slideshow, like the buckets and stuff, if you go to that yourbirminghamhome.com/agent, they're already available for download there. So if you just fill out that form and join the agent referral network, you'll get those up front. And then we'll get you the other things through Shelby afterwards. Okay.
Where was that link again?
Let me go back. It's yourbirminghamhome.com/agent.
Okay. That was the referral link that you just pulled up?
Yeah. I'm going to put it in the chat for you guys. That way I can leave this back up for you guys who want to register for next month.
Joseph, do you have a sheet, if you will, for like timelines for opportunities in Command? Like everything that you need for putting in Command, like a checklist for Command?
Oh, yeah. So we do. We built that
Okay.
out. That's kind of our file cover sheet, but everybody's different. So I don't always provide that one, but take that marketing list and just create you a box on that marketing checklist that I'm providing. that you can edit and create, just create a line. I'll show you what
So
ours
actually, that is one of the things that I do have. And so I wanted to either compare yours to mine and
Oh, yeah.
update mine or use it, or if you didn't have one, I was willing to share it with you and you could share it with everyone else if you
Well, thank you.
want.
Yeah, this is what our new contract to close looks like. So we had an outline here for compliance. And then we had weekly reminders, for each week we'd write out the date over here or whatever. Can you guys still see this okay? And then internal compliance, right, for the team. So did we enter in the new pending? Was the file given back to Kirsten, once everything was completed? Here are the things that we need to order for the file as far as wind infestation, termite transfer, all those sorts of things, right? So I can give you this one. This is not anything special. So I'll get this one over to you too, Shelby. The contract to close one, the new one. So then you guys can update it to what works best for you. Sound good? All right. Well, super. Well, if you guys need anything else, you've got my info in the chat there. It's easy to find me at yourbirminghamhome.com or dealwithdaily.com. And on social media, it's Deal with Daily or the Joseph Daley. So go and check it out. Would love to follow you back and stay connected. So thanks for being here today and making time. And I hope you guys have the best day. Shelby, anything else from you?
Nope, we're good. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yes, and we'll leave this up for you for just a second so you can register for next month.
Oh, it'll hit their inbox too. Don't worry.
Ah, perfect. Well, there we go.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.